So the Cassells Report, one of their recommendations has been to introduce a loan system. As president of the Students' Union Trinity, I'm very worried if that is the option that comes to pass. We'd be in favour of publicly funded education. Loan systems have shown, if you look to the UK, they introduced loan systems a number of years ago, and the number of part-time and mature students have gone down by 40% since then.
I suppose we're delighted that the report has actually been published and that we can formally see what the options are being placed in front of us. It's no good playing against something that you can't see. We're obviously in support of the free fees system. We think education is a public good, it's a right that everyone on this island should have, and we don't believe in putting up barriers to disadvantaged people to get access to education, and the only way to ensure that everyone has the equal opportunity to go to further education is to provide free and equal access to all.
I came into Maynooth through an access scheme, and that has really, it's changed my life for the good. And free education has been a fantastic opportunity for me. And the idea that my little sisters who are 7 and 4 are going to have to take out loans to go through college is just putting up another barrier there, and it's pretty disappointing to hear.
So one of the concerns I would have, we do have part-time students within GMIT, and even just from looking from when Britain changed to the loan scheme, they had a 40% decrease in part-time students attending, and that would be a massive downfall and a massive part, because the part-time does lead on to full-time education, and it does enhance learning for students around the country.
In IT Tala we have a high level of mature students, so for me I'd be really considered about them, as they have personal commitments, a family, a mortgage already, and then once they finish their degree they're left with over €20,000 in debt. So that's obviously not something we want, as we're trying to encourage more students to go back to education, and that's just going to turn them off.
67 to 70% of our students are on some sort of grant, whether it's Susie grant or back to education, so it might hinder them receiving these grants. Also, we have a percentage of mature students, so both 17 and 18 year olds coming from second level to third level, or mature students who are returning to education. They're mature students, they might be already paying a mortgage on a house, and seeing them over €20,000 in debt before they even start college would deter them from attending third level education.
The loans just aren't feasible for us going forward, and it's a barrier, a huge barrier and roadblock for students reaching DCU, and it's not feasible. We've seen in countries around the world how they've tried this model and how it's failed spectacularly. And from our point of view, looking at those results, it seems ridiculous. And why would we go down that route when we see the proof is in the pudding that it just hasn't worked?
Well, fees in general throughout the UK have had a really detrimental impact on students and young people accessing part-time and full-time education, and it burdens them with massive and unsustainable debt that seriously affects their graduate opportunities and chances. And we know in the north, although we only pay $3,500 compared to the 9,000 rest, it has a massive impact, and it's not right in a moral issue or financial one to burden students with this level of debt. It's the position of students' unions everywhere that education should be free for all at the point of access, and that it is included as an option within the report, and that just proves that it's viable and that the government needs to take the political decision to follow this.
So one thing that I've noticed in the media is people are focusing on the loan scheme option, but people are forgetting that there are other options mentioned in the Cassells Report, such as publicly funded option. This is one that we would see as most favourable for students. It will allow greater access. The loan scheme will actually deter students from applying in college from poorer backgrounds, because they'll be looking at being saddled with debt.
First of all, it's good to see now that the government are considering reforming the education system and how it's funded. This is the first step. We're hugely in favour of state-funded education. And I think if people realise the contribution to society that education has, if people realise that those around them being educated, that the benefit it has on them also, that's one thing we're trying to focus on. It is such a public good.
We're really delighted to see that the inclusion of fully state-funded education as an option. And I suppose something that I think personally alongside it is that our constitution for our country states that all children of our country should be treated equally. And I think that that's possible through the inclusion of fully state-funded education in the Cassells Report.